of the things that we talked about with this scripture is it definitely talks a lot about what love is, but even before that, it focuses on what love isn't. And so Paul really, really focused on those things as well. And so, Cameron, if you wanted to touch on just that, the importance of why it focused on what love is not.
Yeah, I think when we look at love today, our understanding is it's that we have not just an issue today in defining love, but there was an issue 2,000 years ago with Paul and the Corinthians and the church then in what love was. And so he very clearly kind of sets up this dichotomy of this is what love is and this is what love isn't. Because there was a lot of misunderstanding then, as there is today in all kinds of different ideas and thoughts and theories on what love is and isn't. And so, Paul seems to try to make it as definitive as possible of this is what it should look like, and hey, here are the ways that it's not, you're not doing it right. Here are the ways that it's a little messed up and needs some change.
I thought that was a huge point for sure that you guys kind of brought to my attention after this message. We go through this passage that there's more here about what love does not do, or what love is not, and what it's not like, and what it doesn't celebrate, or what it doesn't create in the lives of people who are loving God and loving neighbor. And I think that the more I thought about that, when you guys proposed that question to me, the more I think, we all learn well when we think about compare and contrast. And so what Paul's able to do is he's able to look around and be like, okay, so that's not it, right? That's not it. Nope, no, that's not it. And he kind of, they would have known, as we would know, right, from these things, that doesn't envy or boast, is not arrogant, rude, does not insist on its own way, irritable or resentful, doesn't rejoice with wrongdoing. Like we can all get that, whatever translation you're looking in that translates that in a slightly different way. We can all get that. We can all look at some stuff and be like, man, I know what he's talking about here. They would have certainly known what it was that he was talking about. And for him to be like, hey, here's a couple of characteristics. Love is patient and kind. And then here's all these things it does not do, it is not, is helpful for us, I think, to be able to have a clearer picture for sure of what love is really like.
Right. You think about multiple times in Scripture where it's clear that the Bible is trying to make it as clear for us as possible. You think back even to the Ten Commandments, that there are a few that are in a positive way of honor your father and mother, but many of them are do not, or if you go to the King James, thou shalt not. We're going to make this as clear as possible for you. And I think Paul's doing the same thing here. I could say do this and do this, but I want to make it as clear and help people then and people today understand it as best as possible. And this is what it should look like, and this is what it shouldn't look like, so that we can really live it out in the best way possible.
Right. And so interestingly enough, you mentioned that. So when you look back at Old Testament law in that way, and so our great tendency is when we think back to some of those instructions given there in what we would refer to as the Ten Commandments, a part of this larger whole body of work here that Moses delivers, and there are all of those things that we do look like, or we look at with the tendency of hey, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, and there's a ton of those things as we look all throughout the law. But obviously when Jesus comes along and he's asked about, hey, what's to be valued, what's to be elevated most in this, it's you're supposed to love God with all that you have, right? All your heart, mind, body, soul, strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. And what is so interesting is that in the middle of all of that stuff, and the cultural questions and the context of that surrounding the law and all of that in Moses' time, is that Jesus picks those things up out of all of that. It says here's the heart of all of this. There's all this other cultural context surrounding all these things in the law, but here's the heart of this that translates and transitions into any cultural context when you consider who God is and what God is looking to do in the world, right? And so my kingdom has come, and it's about love of God and love of neighbor itself. And so what is sometimes still important for us to understand is that in that there are things that love is not, right? And so love is not simply the positive response of, well, this is what it is and this is what it does, but there are things in which love simply is not, and that's a good thing. And so I think the justice of God is still revealed in his love, and those are things that we think of as being two polar opposite things, but still revealed here very much in that envy's not good, boasting not good, arrogance not good, rudeness not good, and insisting on your own way, being irritated, resentful, rejoicing with evil and wrongdoing, not good. You can't say that's love. And so when Paul could write to the church here and say, you can't ever say, no matter if you're like, hey, we're the church, we're Christians, we're Jesus people, so everything that we do is loving or is fine. It's like, no, it's like, you cannot say that these things that are a part of. This is a part of the world. This is a part of the norm, the patterns of the world, and so this is not love. Love's patient, kind, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things, and that's an important thing I think for us to try to wrestle with.
Yeah. And I think too, whenever you list what it's not, it causes us to examine our heart a little deeper. Because it would be really easy if it just said, hey, love is patient and kind. I could be like, okay, great, yeah, I'm patient, I'm kind. I got it. But then I have to go a step further and say, but do I ever envy? Do I boast? Am I ever arrogant? Am I ever rude? And you have to really focus on more parts of yourself to ensure that you really are loving in God's love and not you're not doing both sides of that.
Yeah, absolutely.